Alright, trolls. I'm ready for you. Now, before I get into this, let me just say that this was inspired by a hashtag that started trending in Canada for the most part yesterday. And it was more or less a big backlash outcry to the fucker in the pussy camera jump in that happens to a lot of reporters. Instead of being something that was just immature, not funny anymore, and just unnecessary, you know, as my buddy Duke would say, come up with something more clever and it would actually be funny. This turned into something that all of a sudden is now perpetuating rape culture. I think the problem, for the most part, is that in the developed world, most countries abolished the term rape when it comes to the legality of it. Most countries have dropped the word from legal texts, and it is just a severe form of sexual assault. But when you actually, say Google search rape definition or rape law, you'll usually end up getting the United Kingdom's very outdated definition of rape, which is gender specific and diminishing to victims of rape on the male side of the card. Basically, the UK states that a person commits an offense if he intentionally penetrates the vagina, anus, or mouth of another person with his penis. They don't have it gender neutral. The UK still states it as a gender specific term. Some parts of the UK have started to change their law. Scotland, I believe, actually changed their law to make it gender neutral, that rape can be performed by anybody. That, or they did what a lot of American states and Canada have done, where they just dropped the term rape in general because it is so stigmatized to being gender specific that they just drop the word, and now it is just a severe form of sexual assault. Now, I want to talk about this because I'm a rape victim. When I was 13 years old, basically I grew up as an only child, and the neighborhood that I grew up in was all older kids, 2-3 years older than me. We all grew up as friends. When they were in high school, I was just a few years behind, about to start high school, and they were the people that I started partying with, hanging out with on weekends, got me into the drinking scene and everything like that. And I was somebody who wanted to try to impress these people. I drank more than I needed to. I got way too drunk a lot of the time, and it led into situations where I would make an ass of myself and this and that. But on one specific occasion, I was at a party getting way too drunk, especially for somebody at that age, and there was a 17 or 16-year-old girl there that said I was cute. That's fine. We were talking, we were hanging out, all was good. It got to the point that I got way too drunk and couldn't contain myself and couldn't control myself, that I could barely walk. And at one point in the night, she decided, well, this was her time to make her move. She dragged me under an alcove, under a set of stairs, and basically had her way with me. No condom used, no consent on my behalf. I remember the blurriness of saying no, pushing her in the face. I remember all this. I grew up in a time where, back then, it was gender specific when it came to rape. What happened to me was bad, but at that time, even when I told my dad, it was, oh, way to go, bud, you got some pussy. There was nothing telling me that it was wrong. And as I look at today, when I see all these people, all these extreme feminists and social justice warriors keep perpetuating the fact that men can't be victims, it keeps reminding me of that time where I was a victim, but I wasn't. In legal stances, yet I probably could have got her in trouble for sexual assault, but it wouldn't have been deemed rape. By adult standards at the time, I wasn't raped. I was just a drunk kid who got some pussy. And now we're in a point in time where these people who are fighting for equality and fighting for everybody's rights won't give men the right to be victims. They won't acknowledge the fact that rape isn't gender specific. It's gender neutral. It can happen to anybody, anytime, anywhere. And it does happen. And the problem is that there are still so many outdated laws that when people look up the term, that's what they use, are these outdated gender-specific laws that give them the right to say, well, men can't be victim. It's in a law book. But as a victim, if you're telling me that I wasn't taken advantage of, that I wasn't a victim of rape, well, guess what? You're closed-minded. You have some sort of blurred vision of the world. You're not helping anybody by continually stigmatizing male victims into not being considered victims. Everybody can be a victim. I just wish people would open their eyes to something that is so lopsided when you're trying to be an equality fighter and you're trying to fight for the rights of humankind, yet one of the sexes to you have no rights whatsoever. I think you need to reevaluate your stance on equality and human rights, because you're not helping the situation. You're just perpetuating the problem and making it even more of a stigma.